Before planning and then constructing my magazine, I researched into different music magazines that already exist. I then focused on the conventions of these magazines and got an idea of what makes specific magazines stamp musicality. I began with the front page and analysed what features are regularly shown to demonstrate the conventions of a typical music magazine. For example, the masthead. When analysing the mastheads, I took into consideration their sizes, colour, and how they attract the target audience for that specific genre. The first magazine I analysed was Kerrang, a rock magazine. On magazines, it is displayed as having cracks inside the word because Kerrang is actually named after the onomatopoeic word that derives from the sound made when playing a power chord on a distorted guitar. The masthead is then ended with an exclamation point to emphasise these connotations. Billboard is also another masthead that I analysed. 4 of its letters are coloured in red, yellow, blue and green, and this is because they are complementary colours as they are roughly evenly spread across the colour wheel. They also create a sense of openness, diversity and optimism, which are positive for a consumer brand. These colours also just stand out. These 2 mastheads, Kerrang and Billboard, are examples of mastheads that spread across the full width of the top of the page. They are an average size and are usually partly covered by the main image. I also looked at Q and NME, which are shorter mastheads found in the top left corner. I went on to find more magazines in my genre of pop, and I came across Top of the Pops, which is similar to Kerrang and Billboard regarding the size. Out of these pop magazines, I chose to take inspiration from Billboard, seeing it as it has a range of both non-minimalist and minimalistic styles, and I was aiming for my magazine to be minimalistic. When creating my masthead, I tried to find a name that related to the word conventional, because conventional is what I use to describe the pop music genre. When searching for synonyms, the words that came up were standard, traditional, mainstream, and many others, but they did not fit the genre of music, so I came up with other words such as reverb, jukebox, record, and urban. I settled on mainstream because it is most relative to the word conventional, and the letters are similar in height, so it would spread perfectly across the top front of my page. I also chose this name because when researching on the UK tribes, I found that my target audience was named mainstream. To find the right font, I looked at Billboard's font and searched on the font site, the font, to find one that would be similar. After searching for a while, I came across the font Chunk 5X, which was perfect for my front cover. It is a large and bold font and it allowed me to follow the conventions of typical mastheads. I left it white because it will stand out against the other colours that I have used already on my front page. I also looked at the conventions of the main image, taking into consideration the body language shown in the image. Usually this image tends to cover parts of the masthead if the masthead already covers the full width of the top section of the page. This is done because usually the magazine's brand is so popular that people will instantly recognise it even if it's partially covered. I then looked at the iconography of pop artists to see the clothes they wear and the accessories that they use. Typical female artists usually go for 2 types of clothing styles. The first style is a fancy style with a fair bit of makeup and either a dress or smart clothes. The other type is a natural style. The artist usually wears casual everyday clothes with minimal makeup. This is the look that my model followed within the magazine. My model's stature and gesture is also quite enticing, which when researching other magazines, I found quite common if the artist on the front page is female. As well as the main image being important, another main convention magazines follow is the background of the image. Most pop magazines I found didn't just have a plain studio background, they were in locations that set the scene of the image. I followed this pattern by making my background a black wall with the brickwork pattern, as this sets the scene of a casual look that my model portrayed, and also so that I could follow these conventions already set by other magazines. I ensured that my colours remained consistent throughout my magazine. The main colours that I used were orange, green and white. I used these colours throughout my front page, contents page and double page spread pages because green and orange were the colours used on my model's jacket, which is also a very common jacket for my target market. Also, white is a very neutral colour that will blend with anything. This consistency of colour created a house style. Cover lines are also another important element for the front page. The main purpose is to draw in the reader by asking questions and also informing them on topics that will be in the magazine. A convention is that they are normally ambiguous in order to provide an inducement for the audience to want to buy the magazine. Seeing as my magazine is minimalistic, I only use artists' names along the bottom. However, another important feature is the use of pull quotes. This draws in the audience because it is usually vague, so they will have to buy it to find out the rest. Barcodes are also another feature required on the front page if the magazine is not free. I ensure to place it in the normal positioning of most barcodes, the bottom corners. I chose to follow this convention because by doing this, it does not attract attention, distracting the reader from the main focus of the front page. This is the rough layout of most magazines. On my contents page, there are a whole different set of conventions I have to follow. For example, the alignment. My contents page was arranged in 3 columns across 2 pages. This is common for contents pages of monthly magazines. Doing this keeps sections aligned. The images in contents pages are also usually a lot smaller. I follow this convention. I also noticed that contents pages images will include shots of artists performing or rehearsing in their element, so I made sure to follow this. Contents pages also usually have bold headings explaining specific sections of the content inside the magazine. I again followed this convention. Another convention is not to feature every page number. Most contents pages only put main articles or very minimal content on the contents page. Seeing as mine is a monthly magazine, I need a lot of writing on this page. However, I followed the convention of not putting every page number up. A lot of magazines include information about subscribing. I followed this because the audience will be attracted to the fact that they have the opportunity to win things. I also maintained my house style from the front page to the contents page by keeping the colour theme consistent. On my double page spread, my house style is consistently maintained. I ensured that the colours were exactly the same as the ones on the front cover and the contents page. I kept the house style the same by using fonts that have been seen in my contents and front page. An important convention of a double page spread is for it to have an eye-catching title that can draw in my audience. I followed this by making my title bold and putting some of it in a green box that stands out. Page furniture and design elements are also important features. As my magazine was minimalistic, a design element that was too busy would ruin this, so I kept it to a minimum by using things such as drop caps and faded letters on the background of pages. I also used the effect of a pull quote wrapped by a text in a circle. As for the article that is featured, it tends to follow 2 layouts. The first is the one with a journalist perspective, with the journalist accounting what was discovered with reactions. The other format is the question and answer format. I followed both. I used a personal account of my artist written by a journalist whilst listening to their story, followed by a few questions and answers. Lastly, the main image is extremely crucial. It must follow the same style and clothing and setting as what has been featured on the front page, and this is what my double page spread followed.